Hey everybody, this is Bud, and today I want to talk to you about how to engineer the habits you have every single day. In a video yesterday, well, for me it was yesterday, but for you it might be another time, but in episode 33, the one right before this, I talked about what I call my daily mission. And my daily mission is something that I do every single day. It's my planning and productivity tool that I use to really make sure that I'm making progress on my projects and everything that I'm doing on a daily basis. But it wasn't that way at first. When I first started it, probably 4 years ago now, 3 years ago now, it took me probably 2 years to figure out the system that worked for me and the system that really is backed by all of the productivity research that I've done, as well as has been effective. Right, there's goal setting tools out there that work for some people that don't work for others, and vice versa. And for me, I took one model and tried that, didn't love it. Tried another one, and then I started molding them together into what I called my daily mission. And as I was building that, I really discovered some weaknesses of my own, as well as things that I'd liked and didn't like. And as I was doing that, not only was I struggling with what was the actual format, how did I actually plan my day, what did I think through, what were the questions I was asking, all those different things, I was also struggling with not executing on those things. And that's what I talked about in the video, is that I sucked. In episode 33, I talked about how I sucked at executing on those things. And that wasn't the point of the video, but that was something that I mentioned that as I got to thinking about it, I really thought, this is a really important principle, because if you suck at something and you want it to be done, you have to figure out a way to make it work, right? And so that was what I tried to do. Is I sat there and tried to figure out, how do I make this a part of everyday life, that it doesn't have to be a struggle to do, right? Daily planning should not be something that we struggle at, right? And a lot of times we go into every day just thinking we know what we're going to do, but then we get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and we go, where did my day go? What did I actually even get done? And so that was what I was working on, right? I was just trying to be more productive, trying to be more systematic, trying to get things moving forward. And I strive to be a high performer in all aspects of my life, not just in work, but across the board. And so that's what I was trying to account for, is all these different things. And I just struggled to get it into place every single day on a regular basis. And so as I was struggling with this process, eventually it came to me what I liked, the format of how I put the thoughts together, how I planned through and thought through the day, all of those different things. But what I still struggled with was making it a habit every single day. And up until about a year, maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, something like that, it was a struggle. And now it's just been very systematic and automatic for me. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to get it done. It just gets done. And that's because I learned a really significant principle from a cool story about Japanese engineering. So back, I don't know, I think it was 70s or 80s. I don't remember the details of the specific details of the story, but back in the 70s or 80s, when American car makers were, they were really flourishing and doing well and things like that. But then market share started to move over to the Japanese automakers. Well, the American automakers went over to Asia to look at their engineering and see what they were doing, and just tried to learn from everything. And they went over and they noticed that there was a missing process, right? They said, well, wait, you don't have this process in place. And it was the process that made the doors fit on the cars. Because the way Americans had been doing it is they would put the doors on, and then they would have somebody, hammer the doors to make them fit to the body of the car. Right? They would mold the doors to custom fit to that car. And that was a significant process for them, because if the doors didn't fit the car, it wasn't as good. And so that was significant. And they saw what the Japanese guys were doing, and they were going, "What the heck? Why don't you have this?" And the what are they called? Warehouse, or the plant manufacturer, the guy that was running the place, basically said, yeah, we don't have that step because we engineer the doors to fit the car. So I hope you got that, right? We engineer the doors to fit the car. Rather than having somebody mold the doors to fit the doors are engineered to fit. So they eliminated a step by simply making the doors fit, right? By design, not by force. Does that make sense? And so when I realized this about 2 years ago, it clicked in my head that, oh my gosh, I have to engineer my goal setting. I have to engineer my planning. I have to engineer what I'm doing on a daily basis to ensure that I'm hitting my productivity goals. I can't just force it into play. I can't just force those things to happen. Because here's the thing. You are 100% disciplined to your everyday habits. Okay, so your habits happen no matter what because they're habits. And you're disciplined to those habits because they're habits. And so when I understood this, I think, oh my gosh, it was like night and day, because it was no longer I was trying to get my goal setting in and fit it into the day. It now just became a part of what I was doing every single day. And the way I did that was I basically set up what I call if-then statements, what I call rules of governance. Some people call it a code, right? There's all these different ways you could think about it, but it's essentially a rule that allows me to say, hey, if this, then that. If this happens, then I do this. If I get in my car, then this happens. If I sit down in bed, I do this, right? That's essentially what it is. And it's based on mental and physical triggers. So it could be, whenever I am whenever I'm frustrated, right? In episode 32, I talked about, hey, I get frustrated. Okay, at those moments, I have to take a step back and then reapproach the situation once I've cleared my head and refocused my frame. Okay, so that could be a mental trigger. It could be a physical trigger, right? Most of the stuff that I do for my planning is based off of physical triggers. So when I lay down in bed, or when I sit down to go to bed, kiss my wife goodnight, spend some time with her, and then, boom, I am planning my next day. I'm planning all of my things that I got to do the next day. I work through my planning process, and it takes me 5, 10, 15 minutes sometimes. It's not a long process, but it gives me my to-do list for the very next day. It gives me what I need to get done and the things that are going to move me forward the very next day. But it's systematic, because as soon as I hit bed, say goodnight to my wife, boom, I lay over and I've got my phone out, I've got my planning out, I've got everything ready for me, and I just go through the day. I go through my next day, I go through today, what happened today, and then I look at what's going to happen tomorrow, and then I get to sleep on it, and I get to adjust my stuff in the morning, right? And that's the other side of it, right? Is as soon as I get to work or get to my desk or whatever projects I'm working on, I look at that plan and I say, okay, is this still true? Is this still going to happen today? Right? That's the other side of the trigger. Is I've got the planning trigger, but I've also got the adjustment trigger, right? So I've planned the day at the night before, and then I get into my day and I look at it and go, okay, are we still good with this? Do I need to make any adjustments? Is there any adaptations that I need to make to this? So that was the trigger that really helped me become so much more productive, because now I'm thinking through all the things that I'm doing based upon physical location, right? For me, it's the bed and my desk, right? And I've got a home office and I've got a work office, and either one that I get to, boom, I'm hitting those things, right? Another one, for example, one of the core concepts that you hear all the time is read 10 pages a day, read a book a day, or read through your books every single day. And for me, it's really hard to find time to just sit down and read a book. And I struggled with that for a long, long time, but I had already learned this concept of having rules of governance, these if-then statements. And so what I did is I said, hey, the first time I get in the car every single day, this is what I'm listening to. I'm listening to this topic. And then when I'm leaving from work and getting in a car, boom, I'm listening to this topic, right? And I'm getting my study in. And, I'm not a reader. I don't like to sit down and read through a book. I'll study a book, but I don't like to just read. I'm not very good at it, honestly. But I do love to listen. I listen and listen and listen. I'll listen to books 2 or 3 times to ensure that I'm getting the concepts. I'm better at listening than I am at reading. I'll go to a book for studying, right? If I'm looking for a very specific piece of information, I'll go to the book for that. But for just reading and getting my study in every single day. I make it systematic by as soon as I get in the car when the first time for the day, and then when I'm leaving work for the day. And then, if those things don't happen, there's some backup triggers that I have as well, and that is, if I have not read for the day, right? If I haven't listened to something or studied something that day, now becomes a part of my planning process for the next day. Does that make sense? So if I, let's say I didn't go anywhere today, I stayed at home, so I never got in my car to listen to a book. Okay, so now it then becomes at night. That's my first trigger is study and then plan. Study then plan. But it's only if, right? It's all about if-thens, if-thens, if-thens. If you've ever worked in Excel sheets and you've used an Excel formula, the if formula, you can understand that logic. It's if this, then that. If this, then that, right? And it's really just quite simple in terms of if you can design the habits that you want around the things that you're doing every single day, you don't have to worry about making things a habit because now they're designed, right? There's a guy named, I think James Clear. He wrote the book called Atomic Habits. And one of the things that he talks about in that book is how his bathroom is always clean. And that's because he set up his life so that as he walks into the shower, he has a trigger to clean and wipe down the toilet and put garbage away or whatever he's got to do to clean his bathroom. But his bathroom is always clean because as soon as he showers, bam, he's going to take 2 minutes, clean the bathroom, and it's good, right? And so it's maintained that way. So think about all those different things, right? That's an example of cleaning the bathroom, right? Mine has been more so on productivity and mastery, whereas that is cleaning your house, right? What are the triggers that you need to set up to ensure that your house is staying clean, that your food is getting prepped, that your that your relationships are flourishing, right? Maybe you set up a location-based reminder that whenever you get to work, there's a reminder to, hey, text your wife and tell her you love her, right? What are the triggers that you can use? And we have incredible technology that allows us to set up timers, set up reminders, and set up those things that allow us to stop what we're doing and have some type of trigger every single day that gets us doing the things that we want to do. And we can design what those results are. We can design what those habits are. Okay, now the other side of having all of this together is that you have to have a long-term vision. Okay, you can set up rules, and that's a good step. But if you have rules that are in alignment with a strategic and long-term vision for you, for your family, for your business, for your relationships, right? If you can have that long-term vision of, number one, who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, and number two, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, what you want to be, if you can have whatever that vision is for you, now you can look at that and then look over here and design your rules of governance. You can look at, okay, here's what I want. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm going to be. What do I need to do to get that done? What are those if-then statements? What are those rules of governance that's going to allow me to fulfill on all of those things, right? How am I going to accomplish this? Boom. Now we design it by putting in rules in place that allow us to accomplish this vision. It's very much kind of like the United States of America, okay? 1776, we had the Declaration of Independence, and that is our vision statement. As Americans, that was us, right? We're saying, hey, we are independent. We do not rely on you. We are a separate entity, and we are free to do what we want. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's all in there. That's our vision statement. And then what came after that? The U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution, the rules of governance that allow us to operate in the country and have the government that we need, the rules in place that allow us to flourish, that have allowed us to become, a ruling nation in the world, right? And that's the secret. They have a vision and they have rules of governance. It's very much the same. And you can do that for you, for your family, for your work, for your business, all those different things. You just have to think through it. And so for me, it's been a game changer. I've been able to make sure that I hit my studying every day. I've been able to hit my planning every day. I make sure that I'm talking to my wife every single day. I struggle with that sometimes as well. I'm not a great communicator, but it's something I'm working on constantly. And so I've been able to do all these things, but really what's been the best part about this is I no longer have to think about actually doing these things. It's automatic, and it's built into my life, rather than trying to force things in, rather than trying to make things fit. They just fit because I design them into my life every single day. So I'll leave you with that, and I hope that helps you make that small shift in your mindsets that's going to help you design and engineer your everyday habits, your everyday goals, your every day, the things that you want to be doing, the things that you need to get you moving to where you want to go. And so if you need help designing this, I would love to help coach you along that process. You can go to budheaton.com/coaching and just apply and fill out the form, and I'll reach out to you, and we'll get you where you want to go. We'll help you design your vision and your rules of governance that helps you accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to do. And so I leave you with that, and I hope you have an incredible day. I will talk to you in the next video.